Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. Um, the thing I've been struggling, it's another COVID-19 video, just in case you're wondering. Although this relates, I guess, to general things as well. The problem that truthers find themselves within, and I'm struggling with, is trying to determine truth in these things. Back before, a few 3 years ago, whenever it was, it was easy just to watch the television and just not even question it. How much an easy life that is, and that's why I suppose a lot of people do go back to it or don't ever fall into, well, I say fall or wake up, as it is, to questioning everything around you and thinking that, wait a minute, is everything I'm being told truthful? Is it being exaggerated? Is there an underlying reason for what's happening? And so I saw Orbs Round, it's Orbs Round, isn't it? Channel, my rant, and it made me think. So he was putting I think it was from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the bit where Richard Dreyfuss is driving, and I think they arrive into the UFO site, and they can see on the floor cows lying down, and they believe that they've been poisoned by something in the air, so they put oxygen mask in, but they luckily have a pigeon, I think it is, in a cage, and that's fine. So then they realise that this is propaganda. It's not really a poison in the air. It's just mind control, and equating that with us now wearing face masks. And I get the face mask issue. I mean, obviously, March, April, May, when we didn't have to wear face masks, we went around everywhere. I was on a busy train, including Gatwick, during the time of the first peak, and when it would have been, it was travelling around, we didn't even know about it, assuming this thing is real. And I wasn't wearing a mask. And most of us weren't wearing masks at the beginning, and now we're wearing masks. Maybe soon we'll have to wear masks just to walk to the supermarkets. Now, the thing is, like with certain truth elements, like say Flat Earth or 9/11, I think it's okay to speculate things without maybe properly researching everything. Let's put it that way, because there's no real immediate danger to doing this. But I have a trouble when it comes to medical things. I had a trouble when Sheeps and Neeps was talking about taking alternative medicine rather than taking chemotherapy or radiotherapy. And sadly he passed away. And it worried me, because what if he had taken chemotherapy and it had cured him, and then he would have had many more years to live. I understand his reasons for it, and it is his choice to take that road, but it always worries me when it comes to medical things, because I don't have any medical background to be able to ascertain whether things are truthful or not. I mean, we can all have an opinion, but the problem is we've got to be careful of is that, are we making the right opinion? We can't call out multimedia companies for using statistics badly or misleading people or not telling the truth, when we're going to do the same, make the same mistakes. We have to be better than that. We have to make sure that what we're saying is correct. And that's why with the mask thing, I see that there's, probably a lot of these masks don't do anything. I've seen on YouTube and on TV where they had a lot of these different masks. They had just a normal spray, water spray, and they sprayed it on the both sides of the mask, and the vapor went through on most of the masks, and even like the top ones are still only 99%, so that leaves a percent risk. And probably if you're staying 2 meters away from someone, and assuming they're not coughing, it's probably unlikely you're going to get it anyway, because that's what we did through the first wave. I understand all that the masks probably don't, they are very little benefit. But what if they are of some benefit to someone? That's my worry, that, because there's a lot of people that believe maybe COVID isn't real, or maybe they believe COVID is real, but it's not as bad as as it were. Well, it may not be as bad for most of us truthers, because most of us truthers are under 50 years old, and this disease isn't really something that's going to affect most of us. But if you're 60 or 70, you may be saying a different thing, or you may not even be here anymore. Because I don't know what our truthers, depends which truther you talk to. Some truthers will say the hospitals are empty. And so, wait a minute, when they say all these people going there, then what is it? Is it made up or not? Some people will say, yeah, it is real, but they're exaggerating. I believe, like I say with these terrorist things, I think it's a lot easier to have a real event and then to exaggerate it. Because to falsify it is a lot more difficult, because then you need people, you need lies, you need all that other stuff. If there is some disease, I mean, it's not, if we're saying that these people can do whatever, there's not beyond a person to, take a disease and create it and then leave it out somewhere. We all know those things are possible. And so, that would be a lot easier just to spread it around that way. Some people may say they could spread it through vaccines or whatever, I don't know. But my worry is, whatever your belief is behind whether it's true or not, we do have a duty to each other. Now the problem is, I find with a lot of truthers is they want to go through the individualist route, oh God, I'm getting American, rather than thinking about the collective, because they see the idea of a collective, because that's the system that we live in, is about being a collective, as harmful to their individuality, because they have to stand against it, because they don't want to do what the state says. And I understand all that. But what if by not wearing a mask, you're increasing the risk of other people dying? You do have a responsibility, isn't it? I don't want to kill anyone, and I don't want to die of this disease if it does exist. So I know why truthers have a problem, especially because of 9/11, this, that and the other, thinking that the state is out to get people, is out to mind control them because of government. I understand all that. But what if something is real? Then how do we tell? Are we going to say that every single thing that we ever see is not as it is? And then we're going to question everything and nothing's real? I mean, how would you know then if something was actually happening and killing loads of people? Then how are you going to determine whether it's real or not? Because if a doctor or a government person says it to you, you're not going to believe them, because you believe that they're always going to lie to us. Well, I know human beings have the problem of lying, but the problem is, how do you know? We're just going to assume everyone's lying and it's conspiracy of everything. So that's my worry with medical things, is that it could mean something to someone's real life. Like, I see this Orbs Around put a video for me from Rachel Anu, is it? Ex-Dragon Den, it says on the video, Selfish and Ignorant. I couldn't find it on YouTube, it's on Facebook. But Rock Lover put it on his channel. And she on that, I started the video, and she on that shows, she claims that the government is misleading us on the figures. And I see a lot of people have watched it on Facebook, and loads of people have watched it on YouTube. On Rock Lovers, loads of people watch it. It seems like no one bothered to investigate it, because I looked it up. I looked up the page that she looked at, and she quotes the figure of, I can't remember, is it 2000 or something like that? Which is household only COVID cases, positive cases, household only. And she's saying that the government is exaggerating the 40 or 50,000. And that's how she's making the argument. And most people have watched that and then thought, yeah, okay, that's, oh my God, the government's doing that. So I thought, how is there this, why aren't journalists then making these questions? Why aren't they asking these things? And we know journalists are very, government orientated. They won't ever attack them too much. So I looked it up and I went to the website. I followed exactly what she did. And eventually I managed to find the bit that she'd ringed around to show that only 2,000 people caught COVID in that period, which Priti Patel was saying was 40, 50 or whatever thousand. And then I read the next, I think it was the next line, paragraph, and it mentioned that this is household only. And if you read the first point where it said the notes over the statistics, it mentioned that this was household only. It didn't include all the other different settings like hospitals where the majority would be, or care homes. It was only household. So I don't know whether she purposely misled people, or she didn't check properly, but I can't believe if I managed to find it in 5 minutes. You know, if I saw a figure like that, I'd need to quantify it before I launched it on YouTube. So that's my worry when it comes to seeing these things, is how do we know it's true or not? Do people bother to check things out before they put things on YouTube? Do people, when they watch things, check them to see, wait a minute, is this right, before they forward it to someone else, or before they themselves look at it and say, yes, oh my God, confirmation bias, that means it's right. The government are lying to us, when in fact it turns out that the person who put it on YouTube, Rachel, she misled people or made an incorrect decision. Because if she had managed to read the next paragraph down, or the next paragraph, it said that it's only household only. So she's comparing apples with oranges. She's saying that, oh look, the household figure here and the whole figure here, and then making out that the government's lying. Now that's the problem, you see. What's the point of us being truthers if it's not about actually the truth? Because the problem is with a lot of this is actually about popularity, especially when it comes to people on platforms like Facebook and YouTube. They're not out to tell you the truth. They're out to make themselves famous, and that's why the individuality bit works. Because they want to be something, and they want to be angry. And it doesn't matter about the truth or the facts. And that's what worries me, and that's what worries me when it comes to medical things. Because a lot of people will watch that video and just think, okay, she's not lying, she's telling the truth. It meets their confirmation bias. And then they think, yeah, okay, so the government is lying to us. Whereas in fact it's not. And so I don't know about the rest of her video, because I've got a problem there already. And unfortunately, she's not on YouTube, so I can't comment. On Facebook, you can only comment if she adds you, and she's not adding. So I can't make a comment to tell her that, wait a minute, do you know that what you're saying is incorrect? And probably if I did, she'd either delete it or not answer it. But this is the problem that we all face if we're being genuine, if we're genuinely trying to find the truth of matters. Yes, I know that we live in a world where we're all capable of lying, and there's lots of lies out there. There are lots of lies. We need to find the truth of them. We need to hold people accountable, but we've got to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes of the people that we're accusing of misleading things, like misleading stats. Stats, that's it. Like I think the video that Orms Round showed, these two guys talking about the death rate being similar to last year. They used 4-year gap, like 2016 to 2019, against 2020 to show that, it's not really much different. But it may be that the same people that would have died of other things are all dying of COVID. I don't know, but the thing is what I do know is I know how you can manipulate stats. Like normally on Sky News they show you 2019 versus 2020, but they've decided to add 4 years worth of data, which will bring down averages and maybe, mix them all together a little bit. I don't think that's a fair comparison. And that's what I mean. If we're doing the same bloody things as them, lies, damn lies and statistics, if we're playing George Orwell like in Animal Farm or 1984, it seems to be the world that we're living in now. If we're playing those same kind of tactics of using stats for our confirmation bias, then we're doing exactly the same thing that we're accusing the media of doing, or the government of doing. We can't just, make something because, if we do this, then it means that we can say whatever we want to say and this is our proof. Let's be honest, stats are probably not the best way of anyone to especially when they're averages and things like that. But it's just the thing that worries me, and it concerns me that people aren't concerned about that they're just ready to follow anything like sheep. Aren't we supposed to have been changed from that? Aren't we supposed to be wisening up and thinking about, wait a minute, we've woken up, as it were. So aren't we meant to be checking the things and having concern about them and making sure that we make the right decisions so that we don't make the mistakes of the past? So anyway, there's my rant for the day. But that's just what I've seen a lot of, and it concerns me because I want to find the truth. And sometimes it doesn't help us when we have people who may be shills, they may be put there on purpose to do this, to make us falsely follow something. So we all, like lemmings, jump over and follow this thing thinking it's true. And then someone comes along and says, wait a minute, you do know that this is wrong, don't you? And then they show you a piece of paper showing you where the mistake is. Some people will decide they don't want to see it. And then they just become like the people that we accuse of, not wanting to see the arguments of flat earth, or not wanting to see the arguments for 9/11 being an inside job, or all the different things, and etc. We become caught in the same dilemma, the same problems. So that's all I wanted to say, is that we need to be careful that what we're putting across is better than what we have been brainwashed with. We can't be like the media, where we pick and choose things, where we have confirmation bias. The truth has to be the truth, whether we like it or not. You can't say that if I show you that Rachel says here, she's claiming that the government are lying, and she's telling you household figures only against all the settings, and then you don't want to believe it, then there's a problem with that. Well, unless I've got it wrong, of course. That's the other issue, maybe. But I don't see how that can be, because it says household only. It doesn't, and it says it excludes all other things. So that's what I mean. We need to be aware of our fallibility. Is that right? Fallibility. That we've been brought up in this system where it's easy for us to be brainwashed. And yes, we've woken up from it, but it's still easy for us to be brainwashed again by someone else who puts on, instead of the white coat, or the TV presenter in his suit, or the government in his suit, now it's someone on YouTube in their slacks with their popularity, with saying the things that you want to hear, but you're not even bothered to check whether they're correct or not. And then you'll throw your mask away because you think the government's lying because Rachel and you told you that. And you throw your mask away, and then you go and kill loads of people, or you get a disease. And that's why I think with medical things, we have to be very careful. It's easy just to say, oh, this, that, and the other, without any evidence. But we can't be doing that, because we accuse other people of doing that. So if we want to be true truthers, then we need to make sure that we adhere to certain standards. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I've gone on too long now, but it worries me that people, will just follow something so easily still. And it's like we haven't learned all these things from the past. I mean, do we really want to? I don't know. Maybe we're just always going to be sheep-like, and it's impossible for us to operate, to find truth, because it's so easy for someone to lie and us just to believe without question, because that's how we've been brought up. That's how we were taught in school. Teacher stands up, reads out from a book, and you parrot fashion learn it. You don't question it because you're not told to question it. You're told this is it. And that's maybe the problem, that we have that mindset, that old way of thinking, and a new way of trying to just always check things to make sure they're true or not. Anyway, take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.